Hey friends, it's Walter Zimrock, and I am recording this video to give you a walkthrough of a cabinet of curiosities that I created. I came back from the Simon Says Stamp Create event, having taken an ideology make and take with Tim Holtz himself, and a wonderful ideology class, 4-hour class with Paula Cheney. And both were absolutely amazing. Both truly inspired me. And so I came home and I decided to start a project. And that project was creating this cabinet of curiosities that is made with, I'd say it's like decorated with 95% ideology products. Obviously, the jewelry box that I used here and turned into the cabinet is not ideology. That was something I had purchased on clearance from Michael's and originally had an idea for something else with it, but I decided to do this instead. So while the cabinet itself is not ideology, 95%, if not more, of what's used inside to decorate it is either Tim Holtz Ideology or Tim Holtz Sizzix products or Tim Holtz Ranger products. It really is, I love those products and I wanted to, showcase them. This is what the cabinet looked like when I purchased it. As you can see, on the inside of this jewelry box was a pole with hooks for hanging things. Then there were these drawers, 4 of them, that pull out. Pretty basic, pretty simple, just your average jewelry box. So I'm going to start with just doing a turn. As you can see, at the beginning, just a moment ago, you saw what it looked like when I purchased it. Fast forward, here is what it looks like afterwards. I didn't do a video of technique because it would just be way too long to film all of that. It would have been hours long. And I realized that no one really wants to watch something that long. If you have any questions on how I did any of it, I am more than happy to answer questions. Please comment or send me a message. Be happy to do that. So I applied a base coat of just a chalk paint. It was like a kind of almost like a light sage green chalk paint. I then applied crackle medium. I then painted over that with some white chalk paint, got the crackle effect. And then I did some techniques that Paula Cheney had taught us with applying a coat of the Tim Holtz Distress paint. And for that one, I was using the salvaged patina. And I applied that coat with a baby wipe to give it like a wash to it. And I also then went over it with some antiquing wax and some splatters of other paint and blended it to go ahead and get this effect. What I was going for is a kind of like a shabby chic or a French country type of effect and on the wood, and I think I got it. I'm really happy with how that turned out. I mean, look at all of that beautiful crackle and all the variation in the color. Then on the back, I'm hiding some lights that you'll see in just a few moments, and then this beautiful pattern blended in so well. And it's from the new Tim Holtz Ideology 12-inch teal paper pack. I love this print. I'm going to buy several more packages of it just to be able to have this print. I think it's gorgeous. There's the other side. As you can see, more crackle, but also just more variation and almost like a marbling with the washing that I did. And it really does look like, painted old wood. And that was exactly what I was going for. And then up here, I applied some Sizzix gold gilding wax over the front to get that gold look there, as well as on the knobs. And so with that said, I'm going to start by showing you there are 4 drawers. Each drawer has a different vignette. And then there's a cabinet part over here that has something completely different in it. So let's start with the first drawer. You can pull these out and you can see the drawer either this way, or you can stand it up and lean it and see the drawer this way. And so on the inside, I decoupaged with Tim Holtz. This is the collage paper. And then I went ahead and created this cool scene. Now I'm going to tilt this so you can see the collage paper in the background. You can also see the metal plaque from Tim Holtz Ideaology, Peculiar and Curious Things. This truly is. That little card is from a physician surgeon, Hiram Woods, MD, which is really kind of cool. And then for the little items that I'm featuring in here, we have from 1863 this jar of miniature skulls that had various gems embedded into their eyes. There's one with rubies, one with emeralds, one with sapphires, and one with amethysts. And this jar was discovered, and those skulls were in it, wrapped in those various pieces of moss that he packed into that vial. You then see the optic glass with the eye peeking through hanging up in the back, right off of that Peculiar and Curious Things sign. We then have a vial of an unknown substance, but warning, it may be habit forming. We then have a bottle of a toxic elixir that has the head of a mushroom and the stems broken up inside of it, and that warning that it's toxic. This crow I thought was really cute. It is not an Ideology. That's one of the non-Ideology products, but I didn't see any Tim Holtz crows or ravens, and so I unfortunately couldn't use one that was branded by Tim. Then last but certainly not least, we have this rather ominous mechanical insect that is broken loose out of the environment it was being staged in and is trying to get away. Just a really fun overall aesthetic. This is what I'm referring to as the creepy cabinet of curiosity drawer. It definitely has kind of a creepy vibe, and I love it. Let's go on to the second drawer. This one is definitely for those who like something a little bit more beautiful and sweet. And this drawer is one of family heirlooms. Now, one thing I wanted to point out from the beginning, this was also made using the teal paper on the inside of the drawer, and that photo of those 2 girls matches their photo inside of that locket. And so I used the papers from that paper pack on the inside, along with the Ideology plaque that reads, "With brave wings she flies." On the bottom here of this drawer, as it stands up, I have a piece of the Eclectic Elements fabric. This was from the group of the tan colored ones. No, orange colored. And I sprayed it to stain it and make it look a little bit older, and laid it out for these items to rest upon. Now on the inside, we of course have the locket that I had just referred to with the picture of those girls. A gold heart that is an Ideology. It was like an ivory plastic heart, a resin heart that I painted gold. And then we have the sweetheart Ideology kind of little pendant that I glued onto it. The whole bottom is adorned by this Ideology necklace. And then we have some of the white flowers that I gave a pearl finish to, as well as this flower button that I just kind of antiqued up a little bit. This shield pendant that says story because it's telling this family story. This little pendant of a surrounded in rhinestones of this little girl from the family. Those beautiful flower ephemera, the roses are absolutely gorgeous. And then a little photo over in the corner. So that is this particular drawer. And I think that it is really pretty. It's very soft. Quite a stark contrast to the drawer above it, the first one. The next drawer is a drawer that is also full of nature and beauty. And this one was a lot of fun. The inside, also a piece of paper from that collection that I just put on the inside. And then I had a lot of fun making this particular drawer for the simple reason that it allowed me to get out an old Sizzix Bigz Alterations die set. I am so happy I go to this a lot for a go-to for flowers. It is the Tim Holtz Alterations, and this is called Tattered Florals. And it's a big die, and it cuts out those 4 shapes. What's interesting is I created these. I cut them out of a Diet Coke can. I finished the Diet Coke. I washed out the can, cut off the top and bottom, opened it up so I had a sheet of aluminum. I cut these out of the aluminum. You can hear that's not paper. And I then applied a coat of the grit paste, and then I sprayed it with various an oxide ink spray. That was picked raspberries. Once that was dry, I sprayed it with a little bit of the Victorian velvet just to lighten it up a bit. I then went in and added in some darker detailed areas coming from the center with a pink acrylic marker, and then added an acrylic stone in the center of each and colored those with a yellow acrylic marker to make it look like that midsection of the flower. And I adorned that with a Tim Holtz Ideology butterfly that I coated with the foundry wax Mind, and I then applied my heat tool to it, and that wax just melted right onto that. And then while it was hot, I took my peacock feathers distress crayon and ran it around to get that patina. It was a salvaged patina distress crayon, or no, peacock feathers. But I was using it to get that patina effect. Some moss from my stash to have the flowers then up on little stems made with a piece of wire that I colored with a green acrylic marker. And they're attached to, you can't really see it, maybe a little bit back here, down there, a piece of foam that I glued down, and then I covered that foam with the moss. Of course, we have that little saying, it's not what you look at that matters, but what you see. And I liked that particular saying for this drawer because it doesn't matter what these items are, it's what you see. And what I see is nature represented, even if they are metal flowers, even if they are metal butterflies. We have another butterfly there. In the background, we have another flower from that set, also a Diet Coke can, colored the same way, but with yellow instead, and then a yellow acrylic bubble in the back. We also have a branch and some of the birds from a Tim Holtz Sizzix die set. Cut those out in patterned paper. Again, it doesn't matter what you look at, but it's what you see. I think those patterned birds are just absolutely gorgeous. And then I used a thimble and I covered it with the gilded foundry wax and applied heat to it, stuffed some moss inside, and superglued one of the mushrooms. But first I dusted that mushroom with some of the, let me grab it here to show you, some of the fine rock candy. So that is what is making it glitter. And that is that drawer, a really pretty drawer of curiosities, found or not found, but maybe inspired by nature. The last drawer is a very interesting one. And again, I used some of the paper from the teal paper on the inside. Most of this is actually styled after an old cigar box. And this one is labeled Found Objects. You'll see 3 initials back there, WJZ. These are the belongings, and this drawer belonged to Mr. William James Zendel, who's pictured right here. A piece of Tim Holtz Ideaology ephemera that I colored with alcohol markers. Now, also, what's interesting is those letters are from some stencil ephemera, letter stencil ephemera from Tim Holtz Ideaology. I splashed that with some drops of the mined foundry wax, then applied some heat to melt that into there, and I did it to each of them, and then applied the crayon again while it was hot to get like a little bit of a patina on there, and I love the way that those came out. I'll also note that WJZ happened to be my initials as well, so it's kind of a twofold use. I used one of the Ideology pocket watches and added some gears in, and just really kind of grunged and antiqued up, especially the front glass part, to make it look much older. We have some stacked gears from Tim Holtz Ideaology, as well as some ephemera pieces from Ideaology, a domino and a number game. And what's interesting is, so this playing card, I don't know if you can note, but it's the King of Spades, but also the Queen of Spades. I created it myself using an old playing card that I cut in half. I cut a king and a queen, the King of Spades, Queen of Spades, and taped them together onto a piece of cardstock to make one card. And then to help with hiding it, that seam, I have some old wooden dice, and I grunged them up and applied them coming down the center. And this is part of the story of Mr. William James Zendel. As you can see, dominoes, a numbers game, and the card. The card indicates to me that he may have been a bit of a scoundrel and maybe a cheat, that he obviously loved to gamble and play games. The dice, the domino, the numbers, the card, all play into that overall story. He was also an engineer by trade, and that's represented by the really metallic kind of aesthetic of this drawer, as well as the gears and the watch. So this is the Found Objects drawer of Mr. William James Zendel. Pretty cool. I have to say, I saved, in my opinion, the absolute best for last. What is behind this door, you may ask? It is a world of wonder. Let me open it up here because I'm using one hand and it's easier to open that way. On the inside of this door, we have 2 sayings. The sky is full of stars and there's room for them all to shine. And then shine like the stars. And lo and behold, look at this beautiful world. This is all, with the exception of the bird cage hanging up from the sky with the raven. Everything else is Tim Holtz Ideaology. You can see the brass stars that adorn the night sky on the side, in the back, on this side. We have an ideology key. We have that beautiful ideology frame that's hanging with a picture of a beautiful woman. They're hanging from the sky above a house that I created from cardstock using the Tim Holtz, one of the Tim Holtz Village sets. I created the house, the chimney. The house is embossed wood on the top that I used with that wood 3D embossing folder. Colored it with alcohol markers, and that's how I made the roof. We have the chimney made from some of the remnants of this stone ground that I had embossed and made. The house was made with the Bigz 3D embossing folder. And so I made the house out of cardstock first, then cut the pieces over again and ran them through the embossing folder, making sure to cut out the windows and everything. The windows are a frosted look that is simply some acetate with some vellum behind it. The door I also cut from a leftover scrap of the wood embossing folder. The stairs I made myself. They're just some pieces of, I'm going to come down here so you can really see the dimension. I'm going to zoom in too. You can see the dimension of those old stone stairs leading up. That's simply pieces of small strips of paper that I colored with gray markers and have pieces of foam tape in between that I also colored gray to go ahead and get that look. I have some Tim Holtz Ideaology trees that I sprayed with some green ink spray from Tim Holtz. I believe that one that I used was the, it wasn't mowed lawn, it was the Great Outdoors or something like that. Those flowers that I put in front are pieces of ephemera from Tim Holtz Ideaology. And this beautiful stone was made with that stone embossing folder and colored. And then I did apply a coating of Mod Podge to everything just to kind of seal it and to make sure that when the light reflects off of it, that it kind of gives you that glow. And then I have just some cotton that I colored with an alcohol marker coming up from the chimney to be the smoke rising from the house. The background, the blue, was very simple. I whitewashed the inside of this first, and then I just applied a coat of Mod Podge and then put pieces of blue tissue paper. That way I didn't have to paint. It's just the tissue paper. These hooks here, as you might remember from that first part of the video, there was a pole that was in the original jewelry box. And the pole had these hooks on to hang necklaces and such. I cut the pole out, but I screwed the hooks in to the top so I could hang my fairy lights, which are connected, and you saw on the back that little battery pack. And then I used the hooks to have these items hanging down. In the back behind that, we also have a watch, and we also have a pocket watch over in the back there. They're a little bit harder to see because they are in the background, but I absolutely love this scene. And so what it's inspired me to do, I love the way that this house came out. And so now what I want to do is find a cabinet large enough to house a Christmas village. And I think one of my upcoming projects is going to be creating a Christmas village using those Tim Holtz village dies, these wonderful embossing folders, and have it housed inside of something like this would give me more space to really have a village. I just think it's breathtaking. I absolutely love it. And hence why I used these "the sky is full of stars and there's room for them all to shine and shine like the stars," because of those beautiful brass stars. I don't know if they're brass or maybe not brass. Maybe they're more of like an antique silver. They kind of match the key. And again, my rationale for having these items hanging down is just creating a world where anything is possible and any of these items may exist. I just love it. And so this is the finished tour of my cabinet of curiosities. I hope that you enjoyed watching this and seeing it. Oh, I zoomed out a little too far there. Don't want to show you my messy craft room. And there is, again, the front of the cabinet. Thanks so much for watching. I am going to put a list of the items used in the notes of this YouTube video in case you're interested in knowing what I used. I'd love to hear what you think of it. If you like it and you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider giving me a follow. I'd love to have you on my creative journey. If you have questions, please comment. I'm happy to ask, to answer. Please feel free to ask. And also, this is a public video, so please feel free to share it if you think others may like to see it. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your watching and your support, and I'll see you again real soon.